My work is always, it comes from it's almost, in a lot of ways, I think of it as very autobiographical. It really speaks to the points at which, I am in my life. And that's where I draw, my inspiration from that. And then always dealing with race, gender, womanhood, a little bit of femininity in there, feminism, normaticity, all of those things. So, and I don't know, that's about it. It's like, in a nutshell.
In a nutshell,
yeah.
In a nutshell. Well, one of the things that I wanted to ask you, in being Jamaican born, and having come to the States, throughout your lifetime, what has been the socio-political factors that have been represented in your work or that have influenced you to talk about and combat in your work?
Right. Well, I think by the token that I'm Jamaican, just based on our history, I feel I'm not afraid of anything. I'm not afraid to second guess. I don't second guess myself. I'm not afraid to put something out there. I'm not trying to tiptoe around. Socially, politically, I'm interested in moving forward, would be the thing that I would say. Moving forward in the sense that taking responsibility for oneself and taking it to the next level. I think the differences are, like here in the United States, you have, some people may find this like shocking to a certain extent, but I think integration was probably the worst thing in the world because it relinquished and gave up our ability to even educate our own children, okay? And basically what we thought was a good idea and should have been theoretically, but then there's always a plan B, and plan B is white flight out of the neighborhoods. We leave you the schools, we leave you no resources, we leave you no teachers, we leave you the building, right? And I think as African Americans, we need to regain that power to begin to educate our children like every other cultural group in this country basically does for the most part. Like if you look at the Hasidic Jews in Brooklyn, they educate their own. The Chinese definitely take advantage of the public school system. And you have to be, I think, responsible. And I think it's great for me to be here like at Spelman because it's like, it's very moving on one level because it's like, here you have a historically black university. And it's, it's overpowering in a way because it's like, it should be, they should be celebrated more, let's say that,
Most definitely.
So I don't know how that ties into the Jamaican social political, question, but it was like,
what you said, it actually had me thinking of some things. Talking about, your Jamaican background and your Queen Nanny piece.
Right.
Let's talk about that as far as, how that was for you. And you pose in a lot of your work. In fact, I feel like that's kind of your...
That's like the running thing. Yeah,
right.
That's the running theme.
Right.
I've been called, yes, the narcissist and this and that. And, conceited and so on and so forth, because it's sort of like, ooh, how could this black woman think that she's all of that in a bag of chips? But, that's sort of the way I was brought up. I wasn't brought up to think that I was inferior or that I needed to change something or I needed to be lighter skinned or change my hair texture. I've always celebrated who I am. In Jamaica, we don't really have, we have some of those issues, I'm not gonna lie, the light skin, the dark skin, but basically the bottom line comes down to class, education, and wealth, period. You know what I'm saying? So it's like, that's how I approach America in a lot of ways. And so for me, it was about this sort of like, ignorance is bliss, okay, number one. You can't say that wasn't involved. But that determination of like, you're gonna get what you want. You know what I'm saying? And you're not going to ask questions, and you're not going to, like I said in the beginning, you're not going to tiptoe around. So I think that rebelliousness that exists in me was something that I was like drawn to with Queen Nanny of the Maroons, because she is our only female national hero. And I spent a lot of time up in the Blue Mountains, and reading about it, researching it, and decided to take artistic license and create her as a persona for me, you know. And I was very pleased with that work in the sense that I felt it sort of transcended, you know, me, you know, my image, like in, say, some of my previous work, like, say, Rajay, where you can look at it and you go, okay, oh, it's Renee as a superhero, you know, or even, you know, Yo Mama, for that matter, where it's like, oh, it's Renee, you know, with her child. So I felt with Queen Nanny, I was able to sort of transgress and to really embrace and be kind of absorbed by that character and that persona of Queen Nanny. And it's like, I guess what I'm trying to say, which sounds a little kooky, you know, it's, you feel that presence when you're in that region, you know. And I mean, I even have some photographs of me where it's like, it doesn't even look like me, you know, at Nanny Falls. You know, and I'm not trying to be like Shirley MacLaine or anything, but you know what I'm saying? It was kind of eerie because you look at this photograph and it's like, whoa, you know, something's being channeled here.
Right.
So.
Which brings me to my next thing. What was being channeled when you did the Hottentot? What were you standing? What were you evoking when you did this?
Well, it's defiance. It's defiance. It's sort of like if you're gonna objectify me as this black female distorted body, okay, which is all wrapped up in, you know, the whole slavery economics of like S&M and, you know, the whole 9 yards, then, and this woman was sort of denied her gaze. I mean, like, you know, she was gazed upon and scrutinized and, you know, looked at as a, you know, a specimen. And in France, they treated her like that. In England, they treated her like, you know, a circus, you know, freak. And then at that juncture too, I mean, the whole political thing that was going on with France in terms of retrieving her remains, you know, because I mean, it's like, how sick are we that we first have the woman standing on a pedestal, and then that's not enough. Now we have to dissect her and put her in a vat of formaldehyde and now tour that around. I'm like, whoa, like that's really messed up. I mean, that's like serious psychosis, psychotic behavior, I think. And then for South Africa to have to fight to get back the remains is like, so there was all these things sort of festering, and I basically decided that I wanted to address that visually. And I found the prosthetic breast and the behind and whatnot, and I felt that gave it a certain degree of, you know, modernity, bringing it into now. And most importantly, to give her back her gaze. I mean, that really is, for me, that's the key thing. That she looks out, you know what I'm saying? So she owns it. And in all my work, basically, there is that running theme, you know.
Almost like the kind of regaining your power, the empowerment of women, deconstructing stereotypes, all of that.
Totally.
Yeah.
Totally, like breaking them down. And, you know, I mean, women are strong. You know, why did we accept this bum rap, this bum deal ever since Adam and Eve, right? You know, I'm like, hello, you know, like, what, you're going to blame us?
Right.
You know, sorry, I don't accept the blame. I mean, you know, that was a collaborative thing. And I think women just, you know, as the giver of life or whatever, you know, I mean, some women say they may not choose to do that, but they have the possibility, regardless of whatever lifestyle they want to have. And I'm like, with that ability, as far as I'm concerned, you know, we should be exalted. We should be like on pedestals, you know what I'm saying? We should walk on higher bridges. But we don't ask for that. And if you don't ask, you don't get. And then you get kicked to the curb.